Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yolanda Elmi Guvtaviani and I'm from 5BC class. In this presentation, I will present the presentation of research methodology. And the topic is types of probability sampling. Sampling. Kok sampling sih? Sampling.
Sampling.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yolanda Elmi Guvtaviani and I'm from 5BC class. In this opportunity, I will present a presentation of research methodology. And the topic is types of probability sampling. There are some types of probability sampling. The first is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling is a sampling technique that provides equal opportunities for every member of the population. How to collect using lottery numbers? If you want to use this technique, make sure you have a list of population names first. This is the picture of the sampling. For the example, you want Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Yolanda Elmi Guvtaviani. I'm from 5BC class. In this presentation, I will present the presentation of research methodology. And the topic is types of probability sampling. There are some types of probability sampling. The first one is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling is a sampling technique that provides equal opportunities for every member of the population. How to collect using lottery numbers? If you want to use this technique, make sure you have a list of population names first. And for the example, you want to select a simple random sample of 100 employees of company X. You assign a number to every employee in the company database from 1 to 1000 and use a random number generator to select 100 numbers. And this is the photo or the picture of the sampling. The second is systematic sampling. With this method, sampling is not as random as before. The technique is done by using intervals in selecting research samples. The first step is to sort the population first. Then, find the interval by dividing the number of population by the sample needed. For the example, the targeted population is 50 people. We want to take 10 samples only. To determine the interval, the population of 50 people is divided by 10 people for the sample. The result is 5, means that the sample we take is the order of 5, 10, 15, and so on. And this is the picture of systematic sampling. If you use this technique, it is important to make sure that there is no hidden pattern in the list that might skew the sample. For the example, if the HR database groups employees by team and team members are listed in order of seniority, there is risk that your interval might skip over people in junior roles, resulting in a sample that is skewed towards senior employees. And the third is stratified sampling. To use this sampling method, you divide the population into subgroups called strata based on the relevant characteristic, for the example, gender, age range, income bracket, job role. Based on the overall proportions of the population, you calculate how many people should be sampled from each subgroup. Then, you use random or systematic sampling to select a sample from each subgroup. For the example, the company has 800 female employees and 200 male employees. You want to ensure that the sample reflects the gender balance of the company. So, you sort the population into two strata based on gender. Then, you use random sampling on each group, selecting 80 women and 20 men, which gives you a representative sample of 100 people. And the next sampling is cluster sampling. It also involves dividing the population into subgroups, but each subgroup should have similar characteristics to the whole sample. Instead of sampling individuals from each subgroup, you randomly select entire subgroups. This method is good for dealing with large and dispersed population, but there is more risk of error in this sample, as there could be substantial differences between clusters. It's difficult to guarantee that the sampled clusters are really representative of the whole population. For the example, if the United States government wishes to evaluate the number of immigrants living in the mainland US, they can divide it into clusters based on states such as California, Texas, Florida, Massachusetts, Colorado, Hawaii, etc. This way of conducting a survey will be more effective as the results will be organized into states and provide insightful immigration data. The next sampling is multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage sampling divides large populations into stages to make the sampling process more practical. A combination of stratified sampling, of cluster sampling, and simple random sampling is usually used. For the example, is in the population census. Here are the steps. The first, divide the population into groups. The second, divide the group into subgroups based on what they have in common. And the third, the division process can be done more than 3 times. The next is, after that, the researcher can draw samples from each group. I think that's enough from me for today's presentation. Thank you.